We have our second guest of the show. We are now talking to James Madison baseball assistant head coach and recruiting coordinator, Alex Guerra. What's going, Alex?
Guys, how are you?
We are good. How are you and your family doing with this pandemic?
We're doing well. I'm down here, obviously, in Virginia, and I'm fortunate to be in a smaller town, not as populated as New York, so there's not as much interaction with people, especially when everybody's on lockdown here. But I know my family that's up on Long Island has had to deal with many more precautions, and I think it's probably affected, just like all you guys up there, everyone's lifestyle in New York a lot different than myself. So, I'm personally very fortunate. I'm healthy, I'm safe, and we haven't had many cases down here. And at the end of the day, it's just about trying to be as respectful as you can of what's going on, and washing your hands and keeping your distance from people, and just respecting the simple guidelines and rules that our government at the state and national level have asked us to abide by, and that's all. It's all on my part as a citizen. And I'm not. There's no sense in complaining and whining about it. It is what it is. It's life, and I think if everybody can try to have that mindset and that attitude, I think normalcy will come a lot quicker. So.
You spoke about Long Island. What family do you have living here on Long Island, and where in Long Island?
I grew up in Wantagh. I went to Wantagh High School.
Really?
Yeah. My family and my mom, my dad, my sister. They should be listening to the radio right now. Hopefully, my dad got the computer working properly. We still live on the same street that I grew up in. My dad grew up in the house they live in right now. My dad, my mom, my sister, they moved down there a few years back. But my dad is lived on that same road for 50 years, 60 years almost. So, I'm in my heart, I'm a Long Island boy, and so when I got the opportunity to come on here, man, I was excited.
Well, I will tell all your family out there, if they're not hearing it or they're not seeing the video feed, don't you worry. We are going to cut out the audio, and you guys are going to hear this interview. Like I said, if they don't hear us, they can download the app. All they have to do, if they have iOS or they have Android, all you have to do on iOS is go to WWSRN, or Android, you can go to Worldwide Sports Radio Network, download the app, and just hit the play button on the bottom for the audio, and you can hear the interview. But don't worry, Alex, your family's going to hear this interview, so don't you worry, my friend. We will make sure that everybody hears this interview.
Good. I just shot him a text, so hopefully he's on top of his skills. There we go. He just texted me. Okay, trying to get on. Go figure it out.
There we go. We are talking to James Madison baseball assistant head coach and recruiting coordinator, Alex Guerra.
Alex, in terms of the start of this season and even going into the last season, one of the pitchers that was most impressive was Justin Showalter, a .67 ERA that he had in the 4 starts this season and a 3.72 last year. Good amount of strikeouts. What impresses you most about his pitching style and his performance that you've seen?
Well, Justin he's a right-handed pitcher. He can run the ball from high 80s to low 90s. He's got tremendous arm side run and sink. He throws a very heavy ball. It's almost like, in baseball terminology, it's like he's throwing bowling balls up there. Like you can never really square him up. He's got late, hard action. It makes it very, very difficult for right-hand hitters when he's running that two-seamer down and in underneath your hands. And then he's got a plus slider that's going to slide away from righties into the back foot of a lefty. So you're basically got a tunnel of 2 pitches. One's going one way at about 90 to 92, and the other one's going the other way, from low to sometimes mid-80s. And he's got tremendous stuff. But I think the biggest thing with Justin, and he always had stuff to go when he got on the mound. But the biggest thing with him, and you see this with most kids, is when he became an upperclassman, this year, his maturity, his presence on the mound was something that was really stood out for our entire team. He pounds his own. He's confident. He's very quiet. But when he's on the mound, man, he's got a completely different aura about him. And that goes to a lot of the credit goes to Jimmy, our pitching coach, who does a tremendous job with our pitchers and just preparing them. But Justin is hopefully we get him back for our sake. Me being a selfish coach a little bit, but in for his sake, he has the opportunity to get drafted, in these next couple of days and play professional baseball. We're going to be so excited for him. He's a local kid. Went to Turner Ashby High School right up the road. So he's living the small town dream right now. He's the man at the local university. And, actually, his grandfather was the head coach here for 4 years, as assistant here.
Interesting.
Back in the 80s as well. So there's a lot of history and family ties. His parents both went to JMU. So Justin's the big man around town around here, but he really took a huge step forward, and he did what upperclassmen are supposed to do. When you're an upperclassman, your job is to produce, and step up, and lead the way for younger guys. He definitely did that for sure.
Now, Alex, it says you're a recruiting coordinator, and I ask this to a lot of coaches because when you go into a home and you're trying to recruit a player and you're trying to sell your school and sell your program, how do you go upon doing that?
Well, it's a little bit different. First off, it's a little bit different than football. Recruiting happens so much earlier in football, and a lot of times, we don't do like the official visits and wine and dine, and then they sit in front of the TV and they pick the hat. Like that culture of recruiting is not really. It's more basketball and football. So a lot of times it's you're having dialogue with these kids when they're freshman and sophomore year of their high school. But as a recruiting coordinator for me, first of all, our entire staff recruits. I joke about it all the time. My title of recruiting coordinator is I'm designated to do all the paperwork that nobody else wants to do.
Of course.
Jimmy, if there's a pitcher that Jimmy really likes, I pass off the name to him. He starts communicating with them, and vice versa with the hitter. And then the both of us kind of filter those names and the guys that we want to offer and get on campus to Coach Ike, our head coach, and in addition to Coach Bowman as well, who's constantly working camps. I wish he was able to recruit, but unfortunately with the NCAA, they only allow 3 coaches on the road. But he's a vital part of our recruiting as well. And but as far as selling JMU sells itself. It's one of the best campuses in the Mid-Atlantic, number one. The campus is beautiful. It's a perfect size, about 20,000 students. It's very easy to get around campus. It's very modern, but it's also got that old feel to it. It's like the quad. JMU originally back in the early 1900s was not a women's school. It was mainly for women who wanted to become teachers. So that quad, the main bluestone on campus, is all original. And then over the years, they've grown, and you can kind of see within the buildings the growth that they've had on campus. As far as getting education, any major you could possibly think of, we have all of our athletic programs win. Our facilities are top notch. Our baseball field, we just had a complete brand new turf done to our field. We've had our indoor remodeled with cages. We can do that. We will never miss a beat. We've got our own locker room, our own weight room, our own training room, equipment room. And we have our support staff are specific to baseball. So you've got full-time athletic trainer, full-time equipment manager, full-time strength coach, full-time academic advisor. And that doesn't happen at the mid-major level. So we're very fortunate to have an administration that supports us. Our athletic director, Mr. Bourne, and our associate athletic director, Mr. White. They do a tremendous job in allowing us to give us as many resources as possible. And in addition to that, our alumni base and the players that have played here, they support us tremendously. So you really have a big time family feel here as far as the support goes, and that's a big part of what we saw to our recruits as well. You come here, you're going to be part of a family. You're not just going to be part of a team, and we're going to make sure that you are getting a quality education, that you're maximizing your potential on the field, and you leave here a better person for sure. And it's something that we take a lot of pride in, and we tried to do over the last going on our 6th year together as a staff.
We are talking to James Madison baseball assistant head coach and recruiting coordinator, Alex Guerra.
In terms of the recruiting strategy with dealing with the MLB draft in particular, especially this year with its 5 rounds, but even just in general when it's even more than that, I think 37 to be exact. What is your strategy when it comes to that, especially being not a Power 5 team where, again, you want to try to let these kids play out 3 or 4 years? Does that affect the method of the way you recruit?
Yeah, that's a great question. No, it doesn't. And people ask all the time. Well, for example, like with the COVID stuff that's going on, how's it going to affect recruiting? How's it going to affect roster? And at the end of the day, if there's a player that can help you get better and win, then we're going to try and get them. Like there's no reason for us to not try and get somebody that's going to help our team. Now, if you have limited spots, then you're going to be very picky on that player and that person and the family, everything that goes involved into it. But the draft at the mid-major level sometimes is very hard to predict. We've had over the last couple of years, we've had, especially from a position player standpoint, we've had some guys that we thought were going to get picked, and it just didn't work out. So it's not a lot of times at the mid-major level, you're not going to get. He's definitely going to get drafted. He's definitely not coming back. And a lot of times at the Power 5 levels, going into the year, like, this kid's going to be a first rounder. This kid ain't coming back. This kid's going in this round. You have a better idea, and you just have a better feel for it. At the end of the day, our job as assistant coaches is to bring the best players possible for the head coach to make the final decision. And for me as the quote unquote recruiting coordinator, that's my job. My job is for my boss to look at me and go, "Hey man, like enough, like we're done." And if he tells me that, like then I know I'm doing my part in trying to make our program as best as we can. But if you think that like a kid that's up the road or our state that's throwing the ball 90 miles an hour and he wants to damn you and he's really good, and we're gonna look at him and go, "Oh, sorry man, we don't have a spot for you," like that's how you lose your job. So I'd rather for us to add as many good players as we can and kind of figure some things out after the fact. In addition, I'm also proud to say that we've never been part of a situation where we've over-recruited and we've had to go to a kid prior to him signing his national letter of intent and saying, "Sorry, but we don't have room for you. We don't have a spot for you. We over-recruited," or, "Oh, you're not good enough." Like, our commitment to the family and to the kid is very, very solid. It's ironclad. We expect that in return. And I'm fortunate in the 9 years I've been a part of college baseball as a coach, I've never been a part of a situation where we've had to call a kid in the family and say, "Sorry, but we're not honoring your commitment," or vice versa. Do they always work out ability-wise? No. I mean, I'm not that good. And any scout coach that says that, they're lying. Trust me, because everybody makes mistakes from an evaluation standpoint. But I can tell you that when we commit a kid, that commitment is strong for sure.